Hello everyone. This is what I hope to be a series that I'm going to do that I aim to do, at least through 2013. And, the biggest project right now is this mess I call a shop. I've been in the renovation for over a year. I can kind of see the end. I'm not going to say I'm all that close, but I'm dramatically closer than I've ever been. So I thought to document the process and kind of motivate myself, I'm going to try to do a shop tour per month throughout the year and see what progress I can make in the shop. So here we are. It is almost 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve. It is December 31st, 2012. So we're going to call this our January shop tour, and let's see where we're starting. There's the closed door because it's December outside and it's still damn cold. Sitting on the floor here, you can see the heater that I use in the wintertime to keep the place warm. Typically, I keep it down in about 50. I have it up at about 70 right now because I'm doing a bunch of spray foam and I want it to dry, and the warm temperature just helps it cure faster. You can see the cans are right next to the heater, so they're not freezing. And when we get to the wall, you'll see where it's drying. Sitting there on the floor is I think that's an OF 1400. That's my Festool router. It's actually not mine anymore. That's Vic Hubbard's Festool router that I'm sending to him. I still have to wrap it up, Vic. Sorry that as of the 1st it's still sitting in my garage, but I will get that right off to you. And the pile of tools right there are my treehouse tools. The compressor, the cordless jigsaw, nails, and whatnot. I'm still in the middle of the kids' treehouse, and I probably can actually put the compressor away. I think I'm done with the compressor for the time being on the project, but that little pile right there has continued to be the treehouse tools. Here on the wall are the drawers I use to organize tools. These drawers haven't changed in a while. Knives, pencils, some cornering squares, drill bits, my drawer of woodpeckers, kind of stuff everybody's got in their shop, just little things. Stereo that I so rarely use. I typically have my iPod on and headphones. A shelf with some chargers on it. They're all unplugged now. I haven't gotten as sophisticated as Mark's system that automatically turns them on and off. I may get to that, I'm not sure. I certainly want to build a more permanent station for charging, but for right now, that quick little shelf does the deal. Remnants of the fact that this used to be a garage. There's the door opener and the sprinkler system for the house. Ultimately, I'll need to move that. As we continue down this side, here's my table saw. It works fine. It's just buried. The blade needs to be ever so slightly adjusted, but it's not that far out of alignment. It's certainly still workable. That bin down there has all my accessories for the table saw. You can see there's my regular 90-degree miter gauge and my Incra miter gauge. I say the 90-degree one. That's the one from Delta. It's actually not bad, but I locked it into 90 years ago and I never change it. So for the time being, that with the scrap screwed to it gets used. I haven't broken down and built a sled yet. I will, but right now what's kind of keeping me from it is where the hell am I going to put it. As we move down the edge, there's my Rockler tapering jig. It's all right. It's too soft. I'm not overly impressed by it, but that said, if you're only doing a couple tapers, it does just fine. I can't complain about it too much. A Craig jig, no shop should be without one. There's just too many times when it is the efficient right way to do things. As you come up here, I've got all my lumber storage. That board right there is actually a bench lamination I made of timber strand, and hopefully within the next few of these shop tour videos, you'll see it being built into a bench. I'm going to use it in what I'm going to call my Bastard Roubeau bench. This cordless drill I don't have room for. Here's my pull-out tool cabinet, and it's kind of buried behind all this stuff, but it all opens to this face. This one happens to keep my cordless screw guns and drills in it. You can see a little better here. It's just a frame with pegboard and drawer slides. That was kind of inspired by a cabinet that Grizzly makes, but for whatever reason, Grizzly makes the slides come out the side, which means you need twice the width of the cabinet on the wall space. I figured to come out this way, I can butt it right next to something. That's my Bastard tool cabinet, which I can't even open right now, but inside are hand planes and hand tools and the like. Here, jammed in the space behind my table saw, is my jointer, my planer, my bandsaw, my transformer, because I was using it as a teleprompter. Ooh, look, it's me. Here's just some miscellaneous story sticks and bending curves and other long things that should be hanging on the wall, but all my walls are taken apart now. We'll get to that in a minute. Here's my Bosch glide saw. I love this saw. So we get around here, a garbage pail full of clamps I haven't set up yet. I've got parallel clamps, short ones tucked in the wall underneath the bastard tool cabinet. Here are some ad hoc shelves I threw together with a bunch of Festool stuff in it and a Bosch sander. Here's the last of these metal shelf units. When I first threw my tools in this garage and called it my shop a few years ago when we bought the house, I had, I want to say, 6 of these, I believe, and I'm down to 1. The goal is to get rid of all of them and put everything in custom-built cabinets like the 2 I've built so far. But it's got a little bit of everything in it. Some squares, fasteners, wrenches, electrical tools. Down here we have my DeWalt 12-volt stuff, my Porta-Cable grinder, my Milwaukee 12-volt stuff in these really nice toolboxes by Stanley, which you can open with one hand and they latch closed. I like them a lot, but they don't belong on the floor. And right now, that's the only place I have to put them. There's one of my electrical piles for the electrical work that's presently going on in the shop right now. Here's my 2 rigid outfeed tables, or supports, or whatever you want to call them. These things are fantastic. This bench here, the miter saw is on, was originally made for my drill press in my old shop. The back is open. I can kind of take it around here. Back's open, just has some toolboxes in it. The front is these drawers from Lee Valley. It's all made of MDF. I think I will ultimately disassemble it, but I'll probably keep these front 4 drawer sections, or each a section, so I can break this into 4 sections and reuse the drawers. They're great little drawers. I'll probably buy more as I ultimately deck out the shop. Here's the bench for right now. It's, I want to say a white side. It's a cheap factory-made bench that I got off of eBay. What you're looking at is the back of it, actually. You can see there's the tool tray. What I've done is it used to rack a lot, so I took 3/4 inch MDF and I biscuited it around the 3 sides with some big long screws too, so it is stiff as hell right now, and the 3/4 inch MDF added a lot of weight to it, so I think that was actually a really cost-effective, good solution, but it's still a pretty crappy bench, and the vices are, they're feasible, but they leave a lot to be desired. Here, big stack of MDF and hardboard that I plan to use for making a bent lamination quilt rack, actually. That was the project I was supposed to have done by Christmas, and it wasn't for me, and the boss changed the priorities of the project, so it's kind of waiting here, and they're just leaning up against the bench. Here we have some 1/2 inch Baltic birch that's actually left over from the bastard tool cabinet, and I'm not sure whether that'll go into a cabinet or a shelf of something. And here we have just a few more parallel clamps. Hanging on the wall back here are some levels. And then we get to this wall. Let me back up a little bit. I'm sorry the camera does so poorly in the low light. Here's the back wall of the shop. And what you're seeing now is the spray foam around the rigid polyisocyanurate insulation is about 90% done. I did that all today. I have to let it dry. I have to cut it flush here. I have to build a frame around an extension frame around the window, and then fill in the gap with foam and polyiso. And then, see here, I got this chunk here. I got to fill that in and fill this up. So the next thing I'll do is trim this flat, put the extension jamb around the window, and then fill all that in. And this is the wall project I'm working on right now. Is I've taken the walls and I've padded them out with timber strand run horizontally, roughly 30 inches on center, but it varies. And what I've done on this wall, because the ultimate goal is that this wall is going to get bumped out, I didn't go crazy on this wall. Some will say I did, but I don't think so, at least not relative to the other wall. So the original rafter bays behind this, I air sealed between the back of the sheathing and the rafters, but I did not put any insulation. So you've got a hollow plenum there, 3.5 inches deep. And then this one layer of 3.3 inch polyisocyanurate, which is air sealed, to give this wall a true R value of 20. Around to this long wall, which is actually the front face of the house. This wall, you can see, I did a double layer of the 3.3 because 3.3 inch polyisocyanurate, as you can see here, lands just about flush with 3.5 inch 2x4s. So I ripped this wall apart, filled the bays with 3.3 inch polyiso, air sealed around it. Then I installed these timber strands, a second layer of 3.3 inch polyiso, air sealed around that, and then I'm sheathing the whole thing with this 3/4 inch tongue and groove OSB. So that gives me an actual R value on that wall of 40. I'm putting in electrical outlets everywhere. Right now none of them are connected, they're just wired in. And here along the wall I've got my excess polyisocyanurate, a piece of plywood that I need to build a thing for my mother-in-law with. This is a recess in the wall for my miter saw. It's ultimately going to get sat in there. I wanted to win as much as I could, so that ends up, I win about 5 inches. I can set the saw into the wall. Here's just miscellaneous tracks for track saws and a clamping track and some accessories for this this Benchmate table that I need to try out. And that's the back of the wall. So here we are at the shop. This is, let's call this January 1st, and we'll see where we get from here.